Um, it's how manifesting generators work. It's like, it's like we can't get interrupted in this flow. It's a very like, it's like, so thank you. But yeah, so what you're saying, I mean, like this whole, what we're going to be entering into in 2027, according to not only Rob, but I mean, different, predictions, different, even with the transits, coming through, we're going through a very mutative time, a very transformational time. And, I don't know, and with everything that's happening with this thing that's been out, our genetics are shifting. So what does that mean, right? When these new kids coming in, what does that mean when it's in its fullest effect? And I don't think we've seen it. I don't think that I think it's hard to really predict exactly what's going to happen, but I really feel like whether it's a quote unquote monster or whatever, I think that the idea of a monster is we don't understand it. It scares us because it's different than us, just like anything else. Right. And I think the same thing is going to happen with these kids coming in is that there will be unrecognizable. They won't be what we understand human beings to be. So we won't know what to do with them.
Right. Wow. Absolutely. That makes sense to me. And it makes me wonder, just because everything seems to be mirrored, like this all started with like the North Node in Gemini. I mean, and not all of it, but like it really got moving and kicking with that sort of like Janus energy, twin ritual type thing with the mirrors and, and so that kind of also to me shows up in like the splitting. And I wonder if the like organic children to the like the organic humans.
I'm sorry. Also, I just got a hit.
Okay.
I'm so sorry, Meredith.
It's okay.
Remember that video I sent you the other day of the Lady Gaga and the like literal splitting?
Yes.
And what does she call her? Okay, so Erin, have you seen her Born This Way video? It's like, it's from
long time ago, I think.
Yeah, a few years ago. There's basically a genetic splitting that she refers to. And then what does she call her fans? She calls them little monsters.
Oh, right. Interesting. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I had to interject. Go on though.
Yeah, no, that totally tracks. Well, I was just going to say, I wonder if like the same is going to be also true for organic babies born to organic, parents, families, is like, there'll be like a more like, cause there's an upright version of everything and there's like the inverted version of everything. And so I wonder if like the same, like if we could see like that happening with, within technological means, you know what I mean? Like parents that are concerned that their kids are like connected to the internet or something and with, without realizing why and not knowing what's wrong with them, all that. But then I wonder about the kids that are going to be born to more organic people who decide to remain like in this version of human. Like, I wonder if we'll see, I just wonder if we'll see kids that are going to come in and like be very effective magically, spiritually in groups, without, because I know that something about the 2027 mutation also has something to do with this emotional energy kind of going away or something, or like changing. I don't know. But to me, like, it seems like the kids that I'm talking about, the more upright version, like won't be so hindered by their like feelings either.
Well, yeah. I mean, how I see it and really feel into it's the mutative quality of the solar plexus. So right now the solar plexus within human design is a motor center and it's an awareness center, right? So it is coming online to being more of an awareness center though than a motor. So it's always operated from a motor. So you can think of it, right? We feel something, so we take action on that, right? We feel good, we take action on it. We feel bad, we take action on it, right? We judge, right? Good, bad, right? And then take action accordingly to what our perception is of that emotion that we're feeling. What's happening is as we're moving into this space, the idea of emotional awareness, the idea of emotional IQ, we've heard that term for so long, right? But it's really coming online as far as it's the awareness of our emotions. And that is, rather than just acting on our emotions, rather than just taking action, because that comes from an unconscious state. So I feel that there is literally, I mean, and who knows, I don't know, I've heard different things about it, right? Like when we say it, there's going to be a break within, so then it will, but I don't see how it can't when, you know, there's this shift. And you can see it already, right? And even in the transits within human design, within astrology, they all mesh up together like so beautifully. We've been challenged emotionally. We have been through this training ground. Like I liken it to like training wheels, right? We've had the training wheels on for a long time. We've been allowed to like mess up, whatever, all these things. We're in like the energy of mastery now. Like I really believe that. Like the training wheels are off. And we're either have done, and not to say that we can't do more work, but the window is closing. Like really, even Ross says that by 2027, like it's just, I mean, we're kind of either like done it or not, you know? And so it's like right now we're being pushed into this like pressure center of like, where are you? Especially like Pluto and Venus, all these things in Capricorn. It's like, who the fuck are you? And you're going to get like, literally like, you're going to go to the depths of fucking hell and get like sucked into that space if we don't know who we are. Right. Or we're going to come out and going, no, I know who I am and grounded in that. But it's if we've done the work and if we react to everything, like I have a podcast coming out tomorrow morning because I'm getting mine started again. But I talk about this a little bit of like, how do we react? Like when shit hits the fan, the storm is around us. Do we attach ourselves to the storm? Right. Or can we stay in our own space, see the storm happening and know like, well, no, this is who I am here, and allow that storm to happen.
Like in the eye of the storm.
Right. Like I think of even like, you know, like I grew up, you know, I didn't really grow up, but like my 20s, I got really in like Christianity and stuff like that. Right. So I think back on like even the Bible story of Jesus, right? Like on the boat, like storm was coming, right? And as everybody was freaking out and he's taking a nap and he wakes up and he's like, okay, so a storm's happening. He literally calms the storm. He doesn't freak out because there's a storm happening. Like, oh my God, what I should do? I got to fix this. I got to fix you. Calm down. Blah, 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 blah. All these things. It's like, we have to know who the fuck we are, because then we're going to be in this storm and we're either going to attach to the storm and it's going to take us away. We're going to get carried away in the storm, or we're going to ground ourselves in that storm, you know, and know that like, okay, that can happen, but like, I'm here. And this is what I'm choosing, and I'm grounded in, and I can feel myself. I'm not getting lost in the chaos, because it's going to get more chaotic anyway.
That's the energy that I've been really feeling a lot lately. And I think that that's kind of what we call gold pill energy. It's sort of that idea that you're going to just be who you are in the face of whatever's going on. And you have a knowledge. The difference is you're not ignorant of what's going on. You're fully aware of what's going on. And you're going to not panic. You're going to respond to things. You're going to do your best you can to just really be in the moment and the flow of it. And I think that's the skill that a lot of us either learned or we didn't in the last couple of years.
Well, and we're going to get pieces of that. Like I just did again this last week. Like I had a situation where, you know, someone was really upset in my field and wanted me to fix it, and it wasn't mine to fix. It wasn't mine to fix though.
Right.
And like I had to just be there, hold space for this person to like process whatever they needed to process, and realize that that's theirs, that they're going through. This frustration that they're projecting out is just their own stuff. It took a while, right? Like, I mean, before I would have been like, oh my God, yes. I would have tried to fix this. It's like, but it's not mine. It's codependency, right? So we're basically, it's a codependent thing. Like a couple of years ago when this whole freaking thing started, I was like, the root of this is codependency. The root of this is attachment. And that's what's happening right now. And I think that's what we're getting through this whole transit of Venus, and then even like the freaking nose shift to Scorpio. Oh my God. Woo! Like we're going to see our attachments, and we're going to go, oh, do I want to continue with that? Or do I know who I am so that I can disconnect right from that space again, not bypass the shit, right? But realize fully what's going on in full consciousness, but not get hooked in by it. There's a difference, right? And allow the other person, it's not personal. They're doing their thing. They're people, whatever it is, right? But that we can stay in our own space, you know, fully grounded in us. Ugh, it's tough too. It's tough.
Absolutely. Well, so let me real quick kind of peel back and like introduce you and introduce the podcast. So just to kind of, you know, tell people who you are and to share my experience, you know, getting to know you. So I met Erin, I guess, adjacent in 2017 at this metaphysical store that I was working at, but I didn't really meet you. And then I guess last year we started talking because the rebel gene finds the others, you know, like,
yeah.
We're just looking around like, what the fuck, you know,
Yeah.
what is this? And so then we started talking more, and, you know, Erin has been a lovely, like, personal friend for me, in addition to sharing, you know, as an extension of our friendship with like her takes on astrology. You know, Erin is a professional astrologer, and then also she is a human design practitioner. And, you know, that is the thing that has been like really giving me a lot of assistance and a lot of life. And so I think that it's something that needs to be, I mean, I'm not trying to say needs to be, but I think it's something that ideally would be more accessible to people in terms of the information. I think that Erin has a brilliant way of explaining it. So I figured we could kind of have like a, you know, astrology, energetics, and human design type of conversation today, because, you know, we haven't really had a guest on Gold Pill. We're still growing. And I figured that this would be a really nice way to expand, and the perfect first guess, chef's kiss, you know.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you.
Oh, yay. So, how did you get started within human design and astrology, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. So, the funny thing is a couple, you know, I was always like, I always loved different things, I guess, as a kid. Like I would always like read in the paper, like my parents got like a newspaper, you know, and as a kid, and I'd like read like the horoscope sometimes in there. But I always thought I was a Gemini growing up, because my birthday is May 21st, right? So everything
Okay.
on everything that we see, 90% of all the things, it's like May 21st, right? It starts Gemini season. So I'm like, all right, May 21st, I'm Gemini. And so then in 2000, fast forward to 2017, is when I started kind of like, yeah, it was 2017. Yeah, sorry, I had to think about this. And I started to dabble a little bit more into astrology. I was getting this woman's reports of like, you know, the transits and things like that. And I was like, oh, this is really interesting and intriguing. And it made me want to start to look actually at this as she's talking about it, to look at it and just visualize it as well too. And so so anyway, that really got me more into the astrology world. I didn't really know a lot about my own stuff there. I was just intrigued by the energetics of it and the transits and how, like, what might be happening. I started getting into human design around that same time, just because human design and astrology really are a beautiful mesh. I mean, astrology is part of human design. And I often use both, you know, when working with clients and stuff, because it just makes the experience just even richer for myself, you know, and for them. But so I started learning human design, and then I decided to get a reading with human design. And I was like hooked. I was like, and it was just, we literally just went over the type, strategy, and the centers. That's it. And I was hooked. I was like, I want to know everything I can about this. So, you know, as a manifesting generator, like myself, I was just like consuming everything that I could consume, and learning all about that. And then funny thing is, so I thought I was a Gemini for so long. That was around the same time then that I had an astrology reading too. Learned that, well, and I was more in Vedic actually too, for some time as well too. I was kind of teetering between the two. I didn't really know the difference between the two. I was just like, oh, whatever, it's astrology, you know, like, I didn't know. I just like the energy. I like, you know, like learning, but I didn't really understand it fully. And then anyway, I had a reading with a Western astrologer and found out I was a Taurus. So
well, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. And I argued with her. That's the funniest thing. I was like, I'm not a Taurus. Like, I'm a Gemini. Like, I'm a Gemini. And they're like, no, you're a Taurus. And I was like 40 or 42 minutes away from actually being like a Gemini. So I'm 29 degree, like 55 minutes or something like that.
So
like,
funny.
Taurus.
I know like nothing about astrology compared to you guys, but like I do energy, and what I know about Gemini, I just do not pick up Gemini at all. So that's so funny because you definitely have more of a Taurus, and because Geminis, the ones that I know are very Gemini, and
yeah,
I've been burned. So,
yeah.
Yeah,
my Mercury's in Gemini. My Mercury's in Gemini, so I'm like very quick, like like thinking good stuff like that. But yeah, my son, 29 degree, Taurus. So that's the one thing that I had never understood. So many people were like, "I love your energy. Like you're so grounding." People would always be like, "You just ground me in," and I was like, okay, like I never really felt that. And then I'm like, oh, and once I realized it's Taurus and stuff, I'm like, okay, people can feel that grounded earth, energy that's fixed,
raise your hand if you've ever felt personally victimized by a Gemini.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's funny though with energies with horoscopes and stuff. For a long time I just thought they were like nonsense because I didn't get it, and then once I realized there was something to it, I started like tracing it back. Like, well, there's this, even if you don't want to get woo with it, which you really don't as an astrologer, you find when you get a reading, it is incredibly grounding, and it's like, whoa, eye-opening. But basically you start thinking that there's gestation times, and there's just things that you're doing there's just things that are very grounding and material to it as well. So it kind of helped me to understand that there's more to it than just, oh, you popped out one day. There's the food that your mom ate that was available during that time, just there's that kind of stuff that goes into it too. So if anyone's listening, I doubt you're listening to this podcast if you are not really into astrology, but if you are, it's really easy to ground yourself in astrology thinking of it that way.
Well, for me, it's really, well, I went through too, like I mentioned, I was in my, religion in my 20s, and I was afraid too for a long time actually of astrology. And I've noticed that like with a lot of like, Christians, and no disrespect, to Christians, but like, I think a lot of Christians, not all, depending, on their philosophy, there's a lot of different sects, within Christianity. There's a lot of fear around it of like, oh my gosh, like this astrology, it's like the devil, and all these things. And it's like, I remember having that viewpoint for a very long time, and I was afraid of it. And, so I think there's that also, right? Like our society, our programmers have done a really good job trying to discredit it, number one, and make people afraid of it, number two. And so those two things are, kind of the things that are, going against it in a sense. However, I feel like the people who are meant to, they're going to come to it. The people who
100.
are meant to do that in this lifetime, they just are naturally drawn to it no matter what. They just will. I feel like it's a calling. It's probably past life. A lot of things. It's just something there that calls them. It's not something that you do. Like, I'm going to go be an electrician. It's something that calls you. Like, would you say that, Meredith, too? Like, it's just like, you can't almost help it. It's just like, okay. Like, I see now the world in archetypes. Like, I see when I'm like, oh my God, that's so like Neptunian, or that's so like, even the elements,
totally.
and stuff too. I'm just like, oh, that's such a like Sag, mutable, like craziness. You can't even contain the fire. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I don't know, it's just funny.
When I was learning about astrology, I was in college, and I was pretty obsessed with people, just like wanting to know, like on a biological level and a psychological level, like what motivates their behavior. Basically was kind of like that was like my pull to psychology. Yes. Then I started learning about astrology, and I literally, so I have a Virgo, heavy Virgo deck. So I was so crazy. Like, I would refresh my grades like over and over. Oh my God. Just like the worst like aspect of that Virgo type of obsessive, like fixating on like perfection and achievement. Right. But like, so I would do that. And you know, and then I discovered astrology, and I would spend more time studying astrology, and y'all, I was working, you know, 20, 25 hours every week. I was like volunteering. I was here, I was there. I was literally trying to be a generator, which brings me actually to my next question, if that's okay, which is, I'd love to ask, like, what is human design for someone who's never heard of it before, that's maybe like tuning into this or listening? Like, what is it? And like, maybe can we like go through the 5 types and kind of like discuss that? Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I mean, human design in the simplest form is just a synthesis of ancient modalities, you know, of the I Ching, the Chinese I Ching, astrology, you know, the chakra system, the Hindu chakra system. However, there's 9 centers, not 7, because we've evolved from a 7-centered being to 9-centered being. Yeah.
Cool.
And the Kabbalah or Kabbalah, however you pronounce it. I think I missed Tree of Life. That's Kabbalah. I'm not sure what else I'm missing in there, but
Gene Keys?
No, Gene Keys came after human design, but
Gotcha.
yeah, Gene Keys was like a birthing from human design. Richard Rudd that came up with Gene Keys studied with Ra.
Okay, cool. I'm learning so much.
Yeah, no, and I look at, so just really quick, I'll just throw this in there and I'll go back. But so Gene Keys, love Gene Keys. And I look at Gene Keys as the feminine, like yin, like energy of, and human design is very yang. So like human design is very like mechanical. It's like, it's this where if you read the Gene Keys and if you read the same code, because it's the same codes, right? So say you read the 8th or the 12th, or there's 64 keys, right? 64 codes, 64 codons, 64 gates, whatever. They're the same. They might be a little different languaging, but it's a similar energy. And Richard Rudd just is so like, oh my God, like it just feeds my soul. Like when I read it, because it like, it's just this very poetic, very like energy in it, where human design is just more concrete, it's just more of the mechanical concrete. So
kind of sounds like human design shows you what to do, and Gene Keys shows you how to be.
Yeah, I would say that. Like it's more about the essence, right? Where Richard Rudd really talks within Gene Keys is there's a shadow, there's a gift, and there's a city, right? Expression of each gate, right? And we flow. There's no like, it's not like achieving the city. It's just that we're constantly in flow between all 3 energies. And where human design, if you look at a chart, there'll be a little arrow sometimes, whether or not it'll be like, oh, it's exalted, or it's like in detriment. It's like, okay, so I'm in detriment. It's like, without realizing, like, there's this flow, right? There's this constant flow of energy, right? We can express this energy in any way based on where we're at, and what frequency we're residing in, really emotional frequency more than anything. But yeah, so that's really like, and another simplistic way of talking about human design. So the synthesis of all of those modalities, and it's a science of differentiation. It's really about learning how to be ourselves. And astrology does the same thing as well too. And human design is another way of approaching the knowledge of thyself, right? So that we can get rid of,
No, I was just gonna say, sorry. Last week we talked about me getting rid of sugar, right? And then Meredith let me know something about my astro chart, and she's like, "Yeah, you really can't like be bogged down in the details, and you're more suited towards this." And I have been meaning to tell her this all week, but that was such a freeing moment for me, because I'm like, I have been thinking I've had something wrong with me my whole life, instead of just accepting as a thing, not even about with diet, but just details. And I'm like, why can't I be
Yes.
And it was just so freeing to be like, oh, okay, there is maybe a reason for this. And maybe as I understand the world, there's things that you're not good at and there's things that you're much better at. And so perhaps I don't need to be spending energy focusing on why I'm not good at something, and I can instead just accept it. And I would suggest to our audience who hasn't ever done astrology or gotten a reading or anything, that these are the kinds of benefits that you get from astrology, whether or not you want to have predictions, or there's all that too. But for the most part, it's just kind of learning little pieces about yourself that kind of free you from your old patterns of thinking and maybe get you onto that opens a new window or opens a new door. So please go on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that
myself.
That situation, I think that there's probably a few people listening to this that could benefit from like me recounting that, because I remember that situation. Do you mind?
Please, if everyone's good.
Yeah. So because some people, okay, like I was doing a candida cleanse at the time, and I was like spending probably 4 hours in the kitchen every day, like making fucking juices and nut milks. And I never want to drink a green juice ever again, but,
done.
But when I was doing that, I think like there's an aspect of, I think people like, that's like, you know, Amy was like, well, I haven't ever done any cleanse like that. And like, well, maybe I should do something like that. And like, there was that kind of energy a little bit. And I was like, yeah, but like, if you don't want to slave away in the kitchen, you can get somebody to cook you this cleanse, or like you can get somebody to make it for you and bring it to you, so that you don't even have to worry about the different ingredients and the different, you know, because not everybody is for that. And when I look at Amy's chart, I see like a very like a person who's sitting on top of it all, like the biggest picture, you know, that's what I see. Like Erin, Amy has her Mars in Pisces at the 29th degree on her midheaven, like right there at the 0 degree mark of Aries. So it's like, I see that as like, why the fuck are you even worried about the 2 teaspoons of oregano that goes in this? And, you know, I'm like, you're like on top of a lot, like, that's how I see it. So I don't even, but like, so
it's right
everybody
next to my Mars. That's awesome.
Oh, wow.
Yay! So
yeah, 0 degrees there.
So everyone has a different role, and everyone has a different part to play. And it's not, it is like, I love that you said the science of differentiation, because we hear like, especially, you know, Erin and I come from like kind of this, well, not really, like both of us were immersed in it in different ways, but this like new age community in Charlotte. And everybody's all on this, oneness, and you know, we're all one, and everybody's trying to give advice that's very general and doesn't apply to any one specific person. Yes, like I cannot even tell you as a mental projector how many times I received quote unquote guidance from readers that literally I'm like, I'm not you, so that doesn't work for me, sorry, you know, like just go get it, you know, would be their advice, you know, and
right.
that shit doesn't work for me. So anyway, so I just wanted to, like it is a way, human design specifically, because I'm not a human design reader. So it's like way more, I love astrology. I really do. And also I'm obsessed with human design. It's like, I just found astrology, you know what I mean? So I'm like, let me go down the rabbit hole of this, you know. And like it's such a helpful tool that teaches you like how to best run your biosuit, like how to best occupy this body at this time.
It's like having a car. It's like a car manual for yourself, right? Or
so
like a
like
appliance
that
you get if you look through the book and you're like, this is how my brain is. This is how my body is. This is like, you know, this is where I need to watch out for, right? This is where I could be deceived. This is where, you know, where my wounding is. This is so I can pay attention to that and move through that. Like, there's so many things. It's really, it's about giving ourselves permission to be ourselves. And Amy, like you said, like, oh, why can't I be like this or whatever? That's exactly it. Like, we live in a homogenized world, right? Where people are like, why can't you just do that? Like, just be the same, you know? And there's this element, this unconscious fear, you know, of rejection, right? Of not being part of the tribe or the community or whatever. And until we face that shit and go, wait a minute, can I give myself permission, right, to be myself? That's the biggest thing, right?
Well,
A lot
that's
of people,
the funniest thing.
right?
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
wanted to put it out there too, that it's not as if I'm not aware of food services, but the idea of me being in a position to use one did not, for whatever reason, I was like, that's for other people, not realizing that's for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was society, but it was also just me growing, well, that's for someone else, that's for someone else. And again, it's not as if this is that big of an issue, but it's kind of more how it speaks volumes, the implications of this finding, you know, that it really does unlock this permission for yourself. And then now it's not as if I'm obsessed with finding out more about myself, but it is interesting every time I come across a little tidbit like that resonates so powerfully, and it's like a little portal into the next gateway.
Yes.
Really something I think speaking of portals, right?
Yes.
Kind of all experiencing a massive shift in energy, not perspective, like I see the world differently, but I see not even a light at the end of the tunnel. I see a personal, I think, to go back to what Erin was saying, a grounding into what is. And then therefore, because I'm grounded, I'm able to see a path maybe that I wasn't able to see even 3 weeks ago. You guys take it from there. I would love to hear what everyone else is experiencing.
Yes. I would love to know about the 5 types of human design.
I'm so sorry.
No,
go back.
I'm just being like, no, you're good, girl. I'm sorry to like be like, well, this is what I want to hear about from Erin. But like, I just wanted to, and then but I really want to talk about the eclipse portal and some of the shifts associated with that too.
Sure.
So
yeah. So
Erin, take it away.
Yeah, 5 types. So science of differentiation, right? And giving ourselves permission to be ourselves. So the 5 types, the thing is too, and here, one of the ways I approach human design might be a little different than a lot of other human design or even astrologers. Like, I really go into even like programming, and I go into deconditioning, going into inner child wounding, and going into shadow work, and going into all those things, because there's no way, I'll just say this really quick first before I go into the 5 types. There's no way to give ourselves permission to be ourselves, even if we know our design and know our astrology, if we have all of the unconscious beliefs there that are guiding the road. Consciously, we can't change who we are unconsciously until we go to the unconscious place. So to do this work, we have to go into the unconscious, and we have to, this is my Pluto and Mars, or Pluto and Moon talking too.
I'm into it.
But like, but we
go
have
deep,
to get
mommy.
there. Yeah, we have to go there because, and as I talk about the types, you'll understand like why as well too, because this goes along with how we're raised. And so I'll go into the types now, but so there's 5 types within human design, and I equate the 5 types basically kind of like learning your sun sign in astrology. So it's great to know this. It will give you a lot of information, and it's a good foundation. It's your aura. So it's your auric field. So there's a generator, there's a manifesting generator, there's a projector, there is a manifester, and there is a reflector. So I'll go into the generator type first because they encompass about 70% of the world. The generator and the manifesting generator have the same auric field for the most part. There's a differentiation though between the two. I'm a manifesting generator. Amy, I understand you're also a manifesting generator. So the difference between the manifesting generator and the generator, a couple differences are that, and Karen Curry Parker has coined the terms a little differently, has put in she calls it a quantum language. So a manifesting generator, what she refers to as manifesting generator, is the time bender, and a generator as an alchemist. So the manifesting generator comes in, they're here to show people that things can be done more efficiently and more quickly. They move very, very quickly. They move very fast. oftentimes they get frustrated, and not always, but oftentimes they get frustrated because other people can't really go as fast as they can and get shit done. Oftentimes a manifesting generator, a lot of people are look to the manifesting generator and go, how do you do everything that you do in the time that you have? And it's because manifesting generators are literally time benders. However, the other side of that coin is that oftentimes they'll miss steps along the way. So like Meredith was saying to Amy, like the details along the way, sometimes with the manifesting generator is like, oh, I don't need to do this. Oh, I don't need to do this. I want to see the big picture. I see the end of the road. So I just want to get there. So I'm going to like, I'm not going to do this. I don't want to read the directions. Like, I'm just going to put it together. I'll figure it out. Right?
I feel so seen.
Yeah. And so, but then oftentimes it can feel frustrating because then we get to that and go, damn it, I got to go back now and fix these things that I missed. Sometimes we don't, because our process is trying to figure out how to do things more efficiently and quicker. So that's one of the things with the manifesting generator.
Oh my God.
And the manifesting generator also, their signature theme is frustration. Same thing with a generator. So if you're feeling frustrated in any way, and if you're a generator, you can pull your chart for free. Just type in, if you're listening to this, just type in human design chart. You can pull it for free if you want to like figure out what you are. But if there's signature themes and there's not self themes for each type. Signature theme for generator, manifesting generator is frustration. So if you're feeling frustrated in any way, you got to back up your steps and go, okay, what did I? So, because the generator needs to respond to life. Generators always responding to life and not initiating first. So the first step within this is recognizing the programming of society of the whole Nike ad, just do it, right? Nope, that's not correct for 92% of the people out there. Isn't just do it. We can't just go and initiate because it's not correct, because we'll be met with resistance. So, and then we get frustrated and it's really hard. And so got to pay attention to that frustration if you're a generator, because you've either initiated where, you needed to wait. That's a big thing with generators. Wait for the opportunity to come into your field. When it comes into your field, then you can initiate and move forward with it. I can give you a couple examples because that's confusing in the beginning of understanding human design. It was really confusing to me. And my students because I've taught now a couple classes too, like, I don't understand this respond thing. Like, so I can never do anything. I'm like, no, it's not what it means. So I can give a couple examples if you want, but yeah, so that's, go ahead.
I just have I just have something to say about waiting, and so I feel I didn't realize, I think, that like generators aren't supposed to also initiate. I think I had that. So that's interesting. So everybody's in this waiting pool with me.
Yeah, everybody is. We're just waiting for different things, right? So,
right. Okay.
So
that
like
makes
a generator.
sense.
Yes. I'll give you a quick example right now of a generator waiting, because it's just happened to me. I had a podcast for a while. I haven't done a podcast since probably last March or April. And I just wasn't inspired anymore. I got kind of confused and like what I was really doing and whatever with it. So I just put it on pause for a bit. Lately, I've been wanting to get it back up and running again. And, so I've been sitting with it and just waiting with it. And then the other morning, I was at the gym and I just had this download of like, all this whole, like exactly what I wanted to do with it. So I thought, all right, I need to wait though, until I get confirmation from my environment, and then I can move forward with it. So that's what a generator is waiting for. So generator, in your mind, if you're coming up with ideas in your mind and then you take action on it, it's not correct. And you're going to be met with resistance most of the time. It won't turn out the way that you have maybe envisioned it. So you can't manifest from the mind. And so the thing is what happened to me that day, literally that day. So as a generator, if you're thinking of something and you're like, ooh, this is really inspiring, I really want to do this, I really like, oh man, I can see it, I can envision it. Especially a manifesting generator needs to envision it before you do it. But I can envision it. Wait, put it in your back pocket, wait. And if it's meant for you, somebody in your field, will come to you with that. And you'll be like, okay, now I can do it. So an example, the podcast thing for me, literally a couple hours after I had this whole download of everything, like I could envision everything, what I wanted to do. I had a former client of mine message me through Messenger. She's like, hey, I go on a 45-minute walk every morning, and I always pick up podcasts to listen to on my walk. She's like, I had no idea that you had a podcast, and I listened to an episode of yours and I loved it. And I can't wait to listen to more episodes. And I'm like, just random. And I put that in quotes, right? Because it's not, but I thought, perfect. This is exactly what I need to wait for, to know now I can initiate this and take action on it and do it. And so I let her know that. I was like, thank you so much for this. And also this gives me now, like, as like, I'm waiting to like, then now I can respond to that and then initiate as a manifesting generator and now take action. So yesterday I like changed my, graphic for my podcast and I did it and stuff, because then it's like the energetics, it's moving within our correct geometry through the world. And when we move in our correct geometry, if you think of it, if you those little kid toys, right? Like that you put the shapes through, if you try to put a triangle through a square or a square through a triangle or a circle and those little things, it won't go through. And you'd be like pounding it through, like, come on, like, I want it to go through. Like, I can see you in there, like, just go through. Right. And that's like us too, right? But if we're like a triangle trying to get in a square shape or whatever, we're going to meet it with a lot of resistance in our life. And when we understand our type and understand how to respond or, initiate or, wait for the invitation or all these things, depending on our type and our aura type, we move through the world with our correct, our shape, our, geometry will fit into the places that we're meant to, so that we're not trying to push down a door where we're not meant to be, pushed down. Right. And so that's a generator, like, waiting, don't initiate from the mind. And that's hard to do. Right. So the hardest thing for a generator to do is wait. The hardest thing for a projector to do is wait. But we have to do that in order, if we want to be in like correct alignment. It's hard to trust.
It's hard to wait, because I think so much of waiting has to do with, do other people recognize what I'm doing? And so that was something that was huge for me, was once I finally had a few people, and it took me putting myself out there a little more, but once I had people finally recognizing my signal, it was like, oh, okay, this signal is correct for me. And I'm getting all of the correct feedback, meaning that everything is harmonious, and everything that everyone that I'm engaging with, we're on similar missions, or we're on the same path, sort of. And it was really interesting though, but I had to refine my signal before I was able to really wait for what I was, waiting for.
Yeah, for sure. And waiting takes trust too, right?
Oh my gosh.
Trust. Because there's this
underlying
belief of like, if I don't take action, I'm going to miss out, kind of thing, right? And so,
that's a program.
It is a program, and it's a belief, and absolutely, that's why like this takes a lot of inner work too, to really get in that space. And it's not enough to just learn our design. We've got to be doing the inner work along with it to make it really manifest and embody our truth. So that's a generator aura. A regular generator, and I say regular not in a just derogatory way, but just a straight up pure generator. There is alchemist, and they're here, like, they are reliable. Like, they are, if their sacral turns on, it's like boom, because they're governed by the sacral. All generators are, and it gives them energy to go. It's like the motor to give them the energy to do what they need to get done and to finish and complete it. If it's not, it'll be like, ugh. So generators have the sacral language, and it's like, if something is correct, it's like, it's like, yes, like you feel it. It's a guttural response. And if it's not, it's like, ugh, it's like that noise where the sacral is like, nope, I don't have energy for this right now. And that's the key word, is like right now. So it could later on, just doesn't right now, and the sacral responds to yes or no questions. So because it has a language on its own, it's like a yes, or it's like a or like a ugh, and so, and manifesting generators, a lot of times their body will move into it. Like, if it's a yes, if somebody asks you a question as a manifesting, and if you're a manifesting generator and you move towards it, it's like, and so you kind of pay attention to your body language as well too. But a lot of times, so with childhood programming and trauma, right, what parent out there, I mean, going over the last however many years, right, encourages their child to say no? Not very many, right?
Right.
So the generators really have to like heal their, like learn how to say no and get comfortable with saying no. Because when there's sacred, I see too many freaking generators, myself included, for so long, like doing things that don't light them up because they feel an obligation, because they're afraid to say no, because like, well, again, so much of it is this codependent nature that we've learned to like, you know, live in. But we're not comfortable with saying no because we don't want to hurt somebody, or we justify it in however many ways. But we have to learn to say no and to be comfortable with our no. Like I was just on a call earlier and I was like, I don't do that many things anymore that I don't want to do. Like, I just don't, like, if I'm not into it, I just don't do it anymore. And I didn't realize that until I actually said it out loud, you know, to her earlier today. But it feels really good to be in that place because it's like, that's correct for a generator, you know, but like you have to heal that place, you know, where, oh God, I don't want to say no, so I'll just do it. But what happens then to a generator is they live a life of literally being a slave. The generator is here to transmute like the whole archetype of slavery, the slave archetype, because the generator gets sucked in to stuff, because of obligation, you know, their sacral isn't turned on, so they don't have the energy to do it. They're like, ugh, I gotta go to work today. Ugh, I gotta go do this. Ugh.
Is that what burnout is?
Yes.
Okay. I remember that.
Burnout. Yeah, generator burnout, where it's like, oh, I gotta go do this. Oh, I gotta go do this. And the generator will know based on, they just don't have that. They can do it. They can do it because they have the energy, but they'll end up getting sick, or they'll end up getting, physically it will come out in some way, shape, or form. It will.
Absolutely.
And so it's like paying attention to that. So
it's
huge.
You are to a T describing my parents. My parents are both generators, not manifesting generators, but they are both what I would consider to be like the product of shoulds, you know, like, and so I have seen like what that can do, you know, and like to a generator, and like that is really powerful too, that they can transmute the archetype of slavery. I feel that the amount of like, if the right generator, because it seems like I only exist to support generators and and nothing else, you know, like, but
nothing else.
And literally like that's the only reason I'm alive. No, but in being in like the right generator's aura, or like an aligned generator's aura, because as you'll probably talk about with the next type, like whenever I'm in somebody's company, I'm literally eating them. So, and that kind of sounds vampiric, and I get it. And we can talk about my theory about how projectors are kind of vampiric, but in the right energy, the right energy field, the right person of a generator is just, oh my God, I am at like rest and at peace, you know, and the right generator's aura, you know, it's very like warm and inviting, and like there's a stir about, and there's a creativity there, and there's a pulse and a rhythm, and you know, and I think too, there's this like wanting to be the most rare type, you know, like that kind of comes up with just people in general, like across every typing system. It's like, I want to be the most.
That program?
I think embracing who you are, like, because I've heard generators say that before, and like people who maybe aren't manifesting generators but are like generators, I've heard them say that, like, oh, you know, so regular, like just, but I don't, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I love generators. So I guess that's my spiel.
Than someone who can embrace their regularness and just own it. And then what's funny is once you embrace your regularness, that's when your like kind of individuality sort of like pops out. But you really have to accept what, you know, that's, I mean, hello, story is with time, but you have to accept what you are before you start, you know, blossoming.
It's only not rare because we live in a generator world, you know, like, and it really is like, I don't know. I think it's amazing to be a generator. So as somebody who has like a weird, like kind of type that isn't like very easy to understand or act out. I would love to be a generator for a week.
What is a projector exactly? I mean, I get it because I know you, but I don't can we get a little in the nitty gritty of a projector?
Sure. Yeah. So absolutely. So yeah, I mean, just like really quick, Meredith too, as far as a generator goes. Yeah. Like I've heard generators say that too. Like, oh, I wish I was like, everybody's like, I want to be a manifester, you know? It's like, okay. Like thinking that they can't manifest because they don't have the title of manifester. It's like, we can all manifest in our own way. Right. It's like, again, it comes down to programming. It comes down to like so many things, but yeah, like I love being a manifesting generator because it's like the more I've like understanding myself, the more I'm like, oh, I'm seeing like these like, you know, beautiful things, you know, about, you know, my own energetic, you know, signature. But yeah, so a generator's aura is enveloping, just like what you were saying. Correct generator is like inviting, like it's warm, it's like bringing you in, you know? And that's why a generator, a good mantra for a generator is everything that is meant for me will come to me. I just have to wait. So that is like any generator, whether generator or manifesting generator, that is the truth of them. But so yeah, the next type is projector. Projector is right around 20% or so of people out there. And projector, there's three different, I'm not going to go into the three different types of projectors, but there's subtypes of projectors as well too. So it's the most unique type out there because of there's subtypes. There's like mental projector, there's the energy projector, and there's like a classic projector. And so like projector, their signature, well, their not self-theme is bitterness. So like a generator, right, was frustration, right? For a generator, their signature theme, I didn't get to this, is satisfaction. So paying attention to like, I just feel satisfied, right? Like that is the place a generator needs to be. Like that is when it's just you're in their correct alignment. So, so projector is bitterness, is not self-theme, and it's success is their signature theme. And success, like I tell, like, you know, and just, I'm doing a class right now on the foundations of human design. I tell the projectors, like, have your own definition of success. What does success mean to you? So then you know then how it feels for you, because success to one projector might, especially a mental projector, might be different than say splenic authority, or, you know, like someone that's like energy projector that has like, you know, they're emotional, you know, emotionally defined, you know, projector. So it's just identify that for you, make sure it's yours, right? And then you'll know how you are to feel, right? Then you'll know when you're there, like, okay, I'm in my sweet spot here, right? So but it's bitterness as well too, because what happens with the projector is they have to be wait to be invited, and so like just that, right? Like just that reaction from our mental projector is,
oh my God,
you know, is hard. And especially because a projector does not have a motorized throat. So a motorized throat means that there's a motor in the body graph that's connected to the throat. I'm not going to go into all the details of that, but the only types that have that are the manifestors and the manifesting generators. So I have a motorized throat. So without a motorized throat, you have to wait to be like invited, like, even to speak,
to respond, and like really just verbally sort of not gifted, but like that's your wheelhouse maybe.
For what? What's
for that? The wheel of what were we just talking about? The voice basically being really good. Is that basically just having more of the gift of gab, or what? You said manifestors and manifesting generators had it. I'm just wondering how that,
Yes. So the throat is the place for manifestation, because it's when we speak, right? When we speak, it's like, and so each gate of the throat, like most of the gates, all the 9 centers, right? There's 9 centers in our body graph, right? And the throat center I think I can't remember how many gates, but it's the most gates in that center than any other center. So it's
Okay.
like the town hall, like of the body graph. Everything is trying to make its way up to the throat. So there can be a lot of pressure in the throat center for someone who does not have that center defined, or it's not motorized, because this is pressure, like everything wants to come out and it's like wanting to, but the correct thing for projector is to wait, because the projector is here to lead. The projector is here to, their aura is very focused and absorbed in the other. They're not as aware of themselves as they are other people. And that's one of their gifts, is to recognize the gifts in another person, because they are here, like, they're like the ones that are like, oh, okay. They're like the foreman, right? On the job, like, well, we're going to put that person over here because they're really good at that. We're going to do that person over there. They're skilled in that. Like, they're really good in that. They can bring out the gifts and see in other people, like their brilliance. Right. And so that is, and projectors can lead the way, because projectors can see out, they can project, out further, where like they can see like, oh, this is, so they're here to lead and they're here to guide. But they have to wait to be invited to speak. And so a lot of projectors will see, because they can see into the other sometimes more than what the other person can see. Like, they're like, oh God, I want to give them advice. I know what they should do or whatever. But yet if it's not asked for, it may not be received well, or it may not be acted upon. And then the projector can feel really pissed and really bitter, because it's like, nobody listens to me. I have
Nobody
all this
sees
advice.
me.
Nobody
Nobody
sees me.
gets
Nobody
it.
hears me. Nobody like, and I have the answers and nobody fucking listens. And so there's this bitterness that can come out, with that. But the biggest thing I've seen with projectors, it's resting. Like, projectors don't have if you're a non-sacral being, meaning anything other than a generator, you have to take a lot of rest. Like, you don't have the life force energy always at your disposal. So you have to rest a lot. You just have to replenish that, place within you. And so what I see a lot of projectors doing, also manifestors and reflectors, but like, projectors have more of a sensitive aura field than the other two, is living like a generator, right? Working 40-hour weeks, working more than that, and trying to prove their worth by over committing to people, to things, to all these stuff. And then I see a lot of projectors get physically sick. And I've witnessed it myself, of people that I know that have like passed, like literally died physically, because they get sick. They don't know their own limits, and they don't know when to rest, because they're so programmed that they have to do rather than being and waiting for that invitation and doing what they need to do, right? Be focused and absorbed in what you love. And then you'll be recognized for that. Don't put yourself in positions like where like, well, if I do this, then that person will recognize me and whatever, blah, blah, right? Because that is like, because that's like, it's just not, it's not real, right? So it's like doing what you love to do and being in that and trusting, because it comes down to trust. All types, it comes down to trust. All types, it doesn't matter. So if we don't trust, then we got to go heal that space within us too. So like we could always go, okay, who am I supposed to be? Right? What was I designed to be? And where's a gap there? What's the gap consist of? Oh, okay. And now I got to go heal those places within myself too, right? So that I can like actually then embody like this space. So,
and again, it might be like a relief for some of our projectors out there that find themselves in this situation to hear this, that like, there's the same way that I felt relief. We're not deficient. We're just different. And sometimes these little doorways help us understand ourselves better. That's so fantastic.
Absolutely. And projectors need to be picky. Be very, very picky on who you allow in your life, what you allow in your life, what kind of work you do. And I will say this, projectors need to be recognized, right? So like, I think I was telling you this, Meredith, before, if you're wherever you're defined as a projector is where you need to be recognized in. So like Meredith,
Yes.
like you are a mental projector, right? You have a brilliant mind. Your mind is defined, your ajna and your head is defined, right? That's who you were designed to have this brilliance there, right? And so if somebody's coming up and recognize you and saying, hey, Meredith, I'd really like you on, like, giving you an invitation, right? I'd like you to come work for us to be our, you know, whatever, like, you're just really kind. You're really nice, right? Like you're really good with like people as far as, you know, you make them feel warm and invited, blah, 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 whatever it is, right? Okay. That's not recognition.
It's not the right recognition.
It's not the correct recognition for you, because rather than going, hey, Meredith, like, we'd like you to be on our team because, oh my gosh, you have so many insights and so many like amazing ideas and ways of seeing things and looking at things. And have this inspiration about you that takes you into like conceptualizing things in a new way, in a different way, in a forward moving way, that we need you on our team to help like lead a process. I'm just getting chills, like literally full of my body, like saying this, like,
yes,
then you can go,
tell me.
okay, this is like being recognized correctly. So now then you go through your authority, right? Of like sounding board, like, okay, does this, and then
I
you'll
gotta
hear
call
it.
Aaron or Amy and be like, blah, 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 blah,
right.
blah, blah,
And then
blah.
you'll know whether it's like correct for you or not, right? Because not every invitation is correct, but you have to pay attention first. Is this a correct recognition first based on where I'm defined, right? So like there's another projector.
Ooh, it is like a vampire though, in that way. Like it's
because they have to be invited.
That's funny. I don't know anything other than that, but like that's
you're right. Because this is why I have this theory. And I really do like also want to share like my own experience of just being friends with Erin and like having that strange type. Cause like mental projectors are actually, and I'm not happy about it, you guys. So don't
add her.
Being like quote unquote rare in human design is like harder than I think it seems like. So I guess it's like 1 to 2% of the population or something. And like just I have the weirdest human design, and I don't really remember exactly why I wanted to interject, but I just wanted to say that
you're like a vampire. You were gonna
yes. Thank you so much, girl. You just bring me right back. Yes, you do. Okay, so yeah, like if you knew about like the projector aura type, because like the generator is like open and enveloping. Big generators have big auras, like usually. I love that. I'm like, yay. But so projector's aura is more focused, and it's actually penetrative and absorbing. So, and depending on the amount of definition that someone has, meaning like in their body graph, they would have to have like centers, either defined or undefined. And, that has a different, so if somebody is more defined, then they are less likely to, receive somebody else's conditioning and someone else's energy. But when you are a projector and when you sit in someone's field, you are literally absorbing their energy. And it's not necessarily, so it can be kind of vampiric, and it's not, I don't really know like how to like reckon with that. Like,
you're not just sucking off their energy for your life force.
No.
Like you're giving stuff back. So it's not vampiric, but I do like the analogy. It's pretty fun. But I definitely think there are lots of differences between projectors and vampires.
Hey, I'm sure everybody has, ways that they can be, ways in which they can be vampiric. But yeah, just to kind of like go off on my like side street, being a mental projector, from what I've read and like the people that I've talked to that are mental projectors, it's hard until you kind of hack into it and figure it out. Like it's really like you're kind of like a vessel for like everyone else's conditioning and energy. And especially in this culture, like we're so trained to like really like pay attention to the mind. Mental projectors usually have like one at least of their head centers defined. What is it, like the throat or the ajna or the head. And you know, that can create a thinking thing, but I don't think mental projectors even are supposed to make decisions purely from their mind. But like, oh my gosh, like, and also even just being a projector and like not like forcing your way into situations, which then leads into, you know, a lot of resentment. And so I think that like becoming friends with Erin, and over the course of probably, gosh, like since we started getting closer in 2020, right? You've been talking to me like, okay, Meredith, like, well, you know, are you going to rest? Like, or, you know, like, why are you doing so much? You know, not even in the, I've never ever felt judged by Erin, just to make that clear, but like,
yeah,
but oh my gosh, that is some shit. Like, that is, you have been trying to get me to get it. And I don't, not even in a way that's forcing, just planting seeds. She'll get it when she gets it. And then I fucking got it not even that long ago.
I know.
Dude, you were there for that. It fucking clicked so hard. I was like, click, 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 click.
But it was when you got to on your own in that space. It's like when that opened up, it's like I could feel it too. I was like, oh, I was so excited for you too. I was actually even sharing. I was like, oh my God, like I'm just excited because like I could just tell with your energy, your field just completely shifted.
Yeah, I feel so much better. But but even in the time that was leading up to that, where I had to do that candida cleanse, and I like, it was like I was waiting, but then the time had run out on like how long I could wait. But prior to that, in looking for housing, I was on the websites and I was calling the people and like putting myself in, you know, like, and I was looking with friends, 2 generators, 1 manifesting generator, 1 generator. And I was doing a lot of the searching, you know what I mean? And like, whereas like, I feel like a generator could like actually go to the physical places and like, you know, and everybody's, you know, got what they have going on. I think for me, it was maybe more pressing at the time than it was for either of them to move. But oh my gosh, like, so I had to, like, I had to get really still inside of myself, clear myself in the wrong environment. And I had to take a step back from the search, and I had to like take my hands off of it and be like, well, you know what? Like, I don't know what to, I don't know what to do. So I'm just going to take my hands off of it. Right. And then I went to where I'm living now and had a whole experience that showed me that when I force things, it does not work. I can't do that. Somebody has to, and then getting the right recognition too. Like Amy gave me the right recognition. Like, she was sending me, you know, these compliments kind of, and these articles of like, look, you were right. Like, this happened. And I love that you said, you know, the gold pill. I think that's really authentic and really interesting, you know, and like, that is the correct recognition, because Amy recognized me for my mind and for like, you know, some of the ideas and the streams that were coming out of my head at the time, I guess. And that's the other thing too, that I've been kind of reconciling with as a mental projector. And I don't mean to like make it all about me, but I am also a Leo. So, you know, we have to do that at times.
I
but like,
service.
I got the Leo energy too. I get it.
Right. But I don't even remember what I was going to say now. That's what I get. So anyway, I just wanted to.
I was recognizing your mind, and I was giving you feedback that was the right recognition. And I will say ditto.
Yeah, it was good energy. And I, you know, I don't remember what I was going to say.
It was
still,
the gold
and it's fine.
And you had put that out there, and just that was kind of the beginning of the whole thing. I think it's really neat coming into this relationship, knowing all this now too. There was another piece that I thought was really interesting, that the whole time Mare was doing her little sojourn and you know, on her key trip, I was telling her, like, she's so divinely guided, she has no idea, and that can mean different things to different people. But all I could see was that she needed to just trust. And I didn't even know that, but it just seemed so clear to me that when you had said that you got your hotel room accommodated, it just like hit me like a ton of bricks that this is something that is supposed to just be occurring, and you just need to be in it and go chill out and relax. And it was, I don't know, that seems like a real turning point for you in your journey.
And then the right environment, because mental projectors are so, we are like our environment in a sense, like we become what we are around. And where I'm living, I don't want to have that be out there, but like where I'm living, that this location chose me, like it did in that process with the hotel room and all of that, and like, you know, getting stuck there, right? And then
you were invited.
I was invited, and it was total, oh yeah, it was so like zoop. And my landlord brought me a poinsettia plant.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's a sweetie. Because that's the thing too. If you have openness in your human design chart, like if you have, then you can literally feel into people. And whenever I'm around my landlord, I just feel my heart like, whoa, you know, and I'm like, all right. Because he's never left nature. He's never left like where I'm living.
That's so cool.
That is cool. Yeah, I mean, projectors are definitely like here to lead and guide, and so they have to be in the correct environment, like you're saying. And if they're not, you can tell they're not able to do what they're meant to do, you know? And so it's like hard for projector to go, I need rest, right? Because then they're perceived as being lazy or perceived as like, well, not doing enough or whatever. But like you have to, like I said, I've seen so many projectors with health issues by the time they get in their 30s, 40s, you know, that midlife, you know, kind of health challenges. And sometimes they don't make it out, you know. It's just like, I had a friend of mine that just passed a year ago now, actually. He was a projector and he was my age. He was like, 40s, and it was sudden, but he didn't really like take his design very seriously and whatever. And he was doing all these things and pushing and didn't know, you know, and it was like trying to prove himself in so many ways. And he was brilliant. I mean, he was brilliant. He's no longer here in this earth, you know, and it was really sad.
Like I keep hearing you say like the self-awareness piece is a really big piece of this. So yeah, that's interesting. I probably it's kind of not a catch-22, but one of those situations where it helps to have it going in, but you also get more of it on the way out. So it's kind of like a circle or whatever. The deeper you go in, the more you learn. And the next time you go back in, you can learn more. Yeah, that's interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, it is self-awareness, like you're saying. And it's like, you know, the question is I'm big on questions, and you know, but it's like, the question is like, do we trust our awareness more than we trust or count on or whatever, like what we're supposed to do or should do or what we're being told to do? Do we trust that space within us more than that? And if we do, great, and we will be on the right road, right? But so many people, we don't, right? I mean, and I can attest to that. I've been there too, for sure. And I mean, absolutely. But this has been like a journey of like, I mean, but wow, like that's the thing. It's like, we've got to get to that place of committing to ourselves so in such a great way that we're like, okay, I'm choosing now to be myself, because that is like to truly individuate, I believe is one of the most radical acts that we could take in this world.
Sure.
It's scary as fuck though, right? Because it's like, if we do that, everything, like, we won't have the same relationships as we've had before. Like, you know what I mean? Our family, we can't go back to that. So we have to cut that shit off at times, or it has to change. It has to. But yeah, it's one of the scariest things, but it's the necessary thing. Like the scariest thing that we need to do is what we have to do for our own freedom. You
It
know?
almost feels like the scariest thing to do, though, in like all reality, is just to stay in that box and not do anything. So if I had a decision to make between staying and or changing, and they're both scary, I think changing, and not changing just in this ambiguous way, but changing in this way that you're kind of evolving towards you. That's how the best way I would put it, revolving towards home or center. I think that's the most important thing I ever learned about my own situation. Yeah.
I hear you. And it's kind of like thinking, that made me think of like, you know, when most people are on their deathbed, right? What do they regret? They regret not taking those chances, not taking those things, you know, right? And like living the status quo life.
Yeah.
You know,
But spending time with my dad in his like last month of life was one of the biggest eye openers. And he didn't even verbally have to communicate any of that stuff, but it just, being in the presence of someone who is passing really puts everything in perspective. And I've heard a lot of people say that, but kind of keeping that in mind for your daily is really helpful. And anytime I'm doing something that I don't necessarily like love, or that I'm not fully involved in, or I'm doing something that's emotionally taxing, I go, is this something that'll be on my deathbed? Will I be thinking about this, that I did it or didn't do it? And so that is essentially how my guiding practice, is just how will I respond to this when I'm no longer able to see life in front of me, and will I look back and have done the right things the best I could? So
I love that. It's a good guiding post, you know?
Well, for me, it seemed to knock some sense into me, but everyone's got their own guides.
I love it. No, I love it though. I love it.
What are the other, there's manifesting generator, projector, and
so there's generator, manifesting generator, projector, and then the next is manifester. So manifestors are roughly 8% of the population. Manifester is, I mean, they're the type that's here to initiate. They're the type that's here to take action. They're the type that they don't have to wait to initiate. They can just initiate. And they have, their aura is repelling. So they will repel people. It's the people, if you look in your life, the people, when I first started learning about this, I recognized a couple of my clients were manifestors, and I was like, oh, this makes sense, because there's an element of them that I'm a little like, even though I have the manifestor qualities because of the motorized throat and whatnot, there's still this aura, this repelling aura of like, I can't quite get in there. Like, it can't quite, like, you know, cause like the generator's like, like just very like enveloping. Right. And like the manifestor is like, you know, they just repel. And so it can be very intimidating to be around a manifestor if you're not aware of yourself, because their energy can be very repelling. Their energy is very masculine. It's very yang. Like, it's very much like, you know, just go do, take action. And manifestor children, it's like, if you're a manifestor and as an adult and as a child, like, a lot of times parents unconsciously, you know, they don't know. And so they try to hold down this child that just wants to take action and initiate. It's like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. Right. So the initiator child then learns to go around that and just does it anyway, or they lie about it and then they go for it anyway. And so then they have to learn how to ask permission in a way, but the parent has to understand too, like, oh, they do need to initiate. So make sure that, like, maybe you're providing, like, if you're a parent of a manifestor child, like, that you're providing safe environments, right, as for your child to initiate things, so that, because it's part of who they are, or they will lie to you because they will go do it anyways. And so as a manifestor adult has to inform. They have to use their communication. A lot of manifestors will just go do, but then like people around them will feel like left out, or they'll feel like unsure, and they feel like, can I really trust this person? Because they're just doing so, and they're not involving me in this process, or they're not involving, you know, other people in the process. And so it's not that they have to ask permission to do, but as an adult, they have to inform and say, hey, I'm going to go do this now. Like, okay, cool. So as a manifesting generator, that's also important as well too. So as a manifesting generator or a manifestor, you have to inform. So I'll inform and be like, hey, I'm going to go do this now. If I'm not informed also, like if you have a manifesting generator or manifestor in your life, like inform them of what you're going to do, even if you're not that type, because like, it's really frustrating to not know, because the manifestor also, and the manifesting generator, they get caught in this creative flow. It's a very nonverbal creative flow, and they can't be interrupted. And if they're interrupted, they get angry, and they experience anger, because it's kind of like you get broken off of that, like that flow of like, oh, I can't break this, because this is energy, and it's a very forceful energy. And it's like, whether it's even cleaning your house, or, you know, writing something, you know, say a blog or whatever, or a post, or whatever it is, like you be in your garden or whatever. But like, if you're in that zone, so the best thing to do if you're a manifestor or a manifesting generator is, if like you're feeling this kind of come on, and be like, hey, I'm going to go do this now. I can't be interrupted for a while. I'm going to do this now. Like, if I don't respond to you, or if I don't say, you know, it's because I'm just in this, I'm in this, please don't interrupt me. Right. So communicate that. And, you know, so yeah, a manifestor is, you know, they're here to take action. They're here to do, they're not here for the staying power, because they also don't have their sacral defined like a projector. So they don't have that life force energy that's always available to them. So the idea is, a manifestor comes in, initiates, right? And they gather the generator, manifesting generator, to like, okay, they got the sacral energy to do the work, right? To continue to do the work. And then or I'm sorry, the projector is like kind of next. So it's a manifestor initiates, and then it's like the projector is like, okay, the manifestor is like, hey, like boo, 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 right? And the projector's like, yep, I know who it is that I can call on to do this work, right? So like the projector is like the foreman, right? The manifestor is like the creator of the company, whatever you want to call it, right? And then like the generators are like doing the actual work, because they have the energy to do it. The manifesting generators are always like trying to figure out like, how can we make this more efficient, right? Where the generator's like, I just got a job to do, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it well, and I'm going to stay the course, and I'm going to be done. You know, that's the generator. So,
you know, I keep on hearing you say about they have to let you, it's beneficial if they let people know what's going on. And I come from an interesting conspiracy community where that is something that we hear in our community too, about things that are going on kind of via predictive programming or whatever. And I'm just wondering, not saying that they are at all the same thing, but how these things overlay, where there's this idea that, let's say Henry Ford or the Rockefellers have an idea, they would be the manifestors. And then there would be someone to put their idea out there, let's say Bernays, for instance, just to use my paradigm. And then there's the working class people who are just doing, and there's people trying to find it maybe more efficient. That might be middle management, sort of.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to think about that as kind of a global, or like a paradigm for civilization as well, because you do keep on hearing over and over, they have to tell you what they're doing, and it's a karmic law, but it's also exactly what you're saying. And maybe just the karmic law is as simple as, you have to tell people what you want of them, or else they're going to get frustrated and not do what you say. So I don't know, it's just interesting.
That's
and again,
interesting.
For all of the manifestors out there, I am 100% not putting you in the same in the same placement as that, but I'm trying to overlay the paradigms, and it's interesting to see how we have come together as a society, you know?
It is interesting. Well, and the other interesting thing too, a lot of like world leaders were manifestors. So like Hitler was a manifestor.
Sure.
Stalin, I believe too. So there's other like I can't remember, but there's, you know, like some of these, like, you know, like leaders were definitely manifestors. They're the ones at the helm, right? And saying like, this is, we're going to do this. We're going to go and do this now. Right. And then they get their fleet of people to help organize that. Right. But they're not here for the long haul. They're here. They don't have the staying power. So a lot of times they initiate, they get something going, and they get people, and then they pull out. And then they go initiate something else. But it's funny, because that is
also overlays kind of what I'm talking about, that idea of like, I'm not really in this, so I'm going to go ahead and exploit this resource, for instance, and then everyone else can deal with that when I'm gone. You know, that's that mentality of just doing and not really, that's very interesting. And again, I'm truly not saying a manifestor is the direct line to like all of the problems in the world, because we need manifestors. Maybe just push your manifestation, hopefully in an alignment with something that's, you know, out of alignment with Hitler, right? So,
well, the thing is, I mean, the shadow, I guess, element of a manifestor is They can be deceitful. I mean, they really can. They could, because they've learned that even from, childhood, right? Like I can't, my, parents, caregivers, whatever, won't let me go and do what's natural for me. So I have to figure out a way to do it and to do it. Right. So they'll lie a lot of times.
Now, it does throughout history, and I'm not sure, since human design's not been around since, on the record since the beginning of time, has the breakdown of archetypes changed maybe so that there might be more manifestors at one time in history? Or what are your thoughts on that? How that breakdown or that proportions could be, changing? Or
that's a good question. Yeah, like I think it's shifting a bit, like who knows, we might find a new type at some point. Projectors are the newest type. When we found Uranus in 1781, something like that. And so who knows, like there may be a new type coming out, especially with this, whole global backdrop shifting in 2027. Right. Like we don't know. Right. So like possibly, I talk with someone and she's just like, she's like, I think there's going to be like even projecting manifestors as well. I'm like, possibly, like, I don't know, so I don't know. I mean, that's a really good question. And I think everything is evolving, right? And we have even ourselves, right? And that's the other thing too, with these charts, with our human design chart or astrology chart, we're not like, it's a thing, like a lot of people like look at human design at times and they're like, oh, well, I'm not just that. It's like, no, but if we don't understand who we are, we can't evolve. Then we can't, you know what I mean? We're only then operating out of our conditioning, out of that box. Right. We are in programming all the time. We're programmed even within human design and astrology. But here's the thing though. I look at it as like, are we consciously choosing our programming or are we unconsciously, right? Like we live in a program, like choose your program wisely, that's
right.
Choose
that's
the
how
most
I see
empowering
it.
program that will allow you to rise up and be in the most, like where you're facing the least amount of resistance in your life. That's another thing that we've been taught in this life. Like, oh, if you meet resistance, just push through it, all these things. I don't like, I used to do that too. Like, I'm going to break down that, because I can. Well, just because we can doesn't mean that we should, right? Like, and if I'm meeting now a lot of resistance, I'm just like, okay, whoa. I back it up. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, did I wait long enough? Am I trusting? Because I've now recognized, just like Meredith is talking about with this place that, that she lives in and her new apartment, it's like things will, like they will manifest easily when we are in alignment with our design, our type, when we are operating in that space, they will come to us. I've experienced it. We don't have to fight. That's a whole old belief system as well too, right? Like we don't have to fight for it. But yeah, and the reflector is the last type. That's 1% of the population. And reflectors, like if you look at your chart and you have it all open, there's no defined centers at all 9 centers are completely white or open. It's a reflector, and they are here to go with the moon cycle. So all other types are solar types. The reflector is a lunar type, so they are governed by the moon, so they have to wait 28 days in order to make a life-changing situation. So say it's a job, relationship, moving, things like that. They wait 28 days and they sample the energy. They have a very sampling aura. So they're here to like sample people. And if a reflectors have the potential, because they have the most open centers, to be the wisest of all the types. But their environment, because they're completely open, if you have a happy reflector, that like, oh, their environment is healthy. If a reflector is not at all, then it's like, their environment, they reflect everywhere that they're in.
Right.
So they're the ones that like are, say, in the company that's going, all right, I'm going to reflect and I'm going to basically like, if we need to pivot, blah, 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 because you can pay attention to the reflector. And if they're in good health, if they're in good, energetic, physical, spiritual health,
they're like the canary in the coal mine, kind of. In a way, right? Like they're sort of or maybe that's not the best analogy, but they're kind of the microcosm of the macrocosm. Like they are
the mirror. So
they are the mirror. Thank you. Yes.
And that's the truth.
They are the mirror.
I know a reflector she teaches the yoga dance that I like to take. And I have observed, like, not directly, but I can just kind of like feel into this, that like she's probably one of the only people that understand me and what it's like to be me, because of how open she actually is, and how much she is like, I bet people project all over her, and I'm not trying to like amplify that for her, but like I'm just like, I can see that. And that's also been my experience as someone who has a chart that is so open. You know, and so I just really, I really like her, and like I think that me liking her is only a testament to me liking me at this point in time. You know,
it's
what
like
I mean?
seeing
Like,
yourself back in her.
That's so
I will
funny.
say this, because the reflector is so open though, they have a different aura than the projector though. So they're not as sensitive of an aura, even though they are all open. So they have kind of this like reflective kind of like a Teflon kind of almost thing as well too. So the projector, it's just because of the aura type. It doesn't necessarily mean like because of how open, but like but the reflector is, they are all open, but because of that, like their aura isn't as sensitive as what say a projector, you know, would
not
be.
It's not absorbing.
Okay. No, they're
Gotcha.
sampling. They're sampling energies and a reflector. So they're not self-theme, is disappointment. And their signature theme is surprise. A reflector needs to be surprised, like, because it's like how was I thinking about it? This is like, it's like a reflector is like their environment, like if they have like they have to feel that element of surprise, like, oh, like a good surprise, right? Like oh, like I know a reflector that her husband on their, he does a lot of woodworking and stuff, and he made their body graph designs on their bed frame behind them. How cool is that, cool. Right? And and so, and like that was her comment, was like, oh my gosh, I was so surprised. Like that is like the element of like, oh, you know, disappointment is they're not self-themed. So if they feel they're just disappointed in life, disappointed in their environment, like they're not in the right environment. And it's that can be really hard for a reflector, because then they're reflecting back everybody's shit. And if they're not aware of who they are, they're going to think that everything is them when it's not, you know? So,
That's intense.
So those are the 5 types. So
yay!
Yeah.
Cool.
And there's so much more to them all, but that's like I have a tendency to sometimes go like too much, and I'm like, no, that's enough for now. Well, that's enough for now. That's enough for now. So there's so much more to them, but that's the gist of it.
Human design is an entire discipline that like I have so much respect for people who practice human design and like who really get inside of it, because it is so much information. I mean, like there's the types, right? And then we can get into like strategy and authority, and you know, having like getting into the body graph and the energetic anatomy of it, and like, is this center defined or undefined, and how much programming are you taking in, and what kind of programming are you taking in all the time? How are you taking that programming in? Like, and there's like locations and digestion and like
environment,
wow. Right? Oh yeah. And then there's all the gates, like, and the circuitry, and like, oh my God,
every
this
gate
is the first
is
thing
in
that
planet.
I'm gonna. Yeah, exactly. And so then astrology comes into it, and like, so for me as somebody who, I mean, mental projector, hello, I fucking like love to like get inside of systems like that. And so now that I think I've kind of like, at least momentarily, have stepped into a space where like I'm living it, or I've been trying to, like, really specifically the last 3 weeks, I've been like, you know, living it. And it's really, it's powerful. So I highly recommend Erin for human design readings or classes. She's taught me so much, just like And, you know, it has really helped me to be a mental projector, which Ross said himself was the hardest fucking type to like, he was kind of, I read something that he said about it. He was kind of like, good luck, you know, happy experimenting, you know, because I don't know, you know, like what you're gonna fucking do, you know, and that is it. Like it does
That's
take
honest.
that
Yes.
trial and error. Yeah.
But
For
that's the
all
thing.
of it too.
Yes.
For all of the types.
You mentioned that. I mean, that's the word right there, is experimenting. It's like, you know, I've done this now and done readings now for a while with people, and I can tell like the people who experiment with it, you know, with their strategy and authority, they're experimenting with their design, they're living it out, they're seeing how these archetypes are literally showing up within them and outside of them as well. And they're using that as their school and that as their teacher. Like those are the people who I see the most amount of like growth, like within themselves and shifting in their lives. Like the ones who learn it just to learn it from a mental space, but they're not really experimenting with it.